Oh my goodness, guys, we're back on the road and we're in Arkansas, and I came at just the right time. It's National Tourism Week, and today they have all sorts of cool samples from local Arkansas places. So we're about to have some ice cream. I picked up a few other goodies, but let me tell you a little bit more about why I love Arkansas. Arkansas is one of those states that is called the natural state, and because of that you see all these beautiful natural spaces. But when you first get into the state and you see one of these visitor stops, stop. You won't regret it. I love their visitors areas. In fact, you might recognize this parking lot. This parking lot right here was where I spent my very first night in my van as a result of a rainstorm. Ironically, there was also a rainstorm today. I don't know what it is about me in Arkansas and the rain, but you know, it is what it is. But let's get in, Dimples, and I'll explain a little bit more. Arkansas is a place that really encourages people to come here and explore their state. Now, I know you're probably saying, oh, all states do that, but you will find that Arkansas travel stops like these have the most friendly staff of all of the travel stops that I have encountered throughout the United States. Not to mention, everything is subdivided up not only by geographic region in text, but also by a map, so you can physically see what you're looking for. And one of the cool things about the Arkansas travel stops that is a little different than a lot of the others is they have like a little museum space within the travel stops. So you can come in during the winter time, sit down by a warm fire, have some coffee, and browse around several different display cases. And depending on what part of the state that you come into, you'll learn a little bit more about the culture of the people and the things that Arkansas is known for in that area. But today, oh my goodness, today they outdid themselves. Let me show you. Because it is National Tourism Week, they have goodie bags for anyone who is interested. And along with that comes all of these local to Arkansas brands like Yarnell's, which is out of Searcy. So I have a homemade chocolate ice cream that I am about to love every bit of. But also there's some other goodies in this bag, including a cell phone case for whenever I go kayaking or canoeing, and then also a few other little items in here, some really cool little contact things that I can put on for emergencies. And it only gets better because not only do they have that, but they have amazing pieces of tourism happiness. This makes planning a trip here in Arkansas so easy because they have travel guides for just about everything. All of you who have wondered how I find all the cool places that I do, at least in Arkansas, I go to one of these tourism centers, I check it out, I find the areas that I'm looking for, and then I just pan through all of the different cool brochures. Not to mention, this is something that gives you a visual that is all represented in one place. Now, whenever I go searching online, sure, there are tons of websites that I like to use. However, sometimes it takes a little bit more work to line up if those places are close to one another. Not here. Here they can say, you're interested in looking for something in the Delta region? Cool. Come to this section, and then you'll see all these cool pamphlets. You're looking for something about state parks? Cool. Here's a state park guide and all the information that you'll need. But on a day like today, there's more. They give you goodies like these two things from the Lowell area, which is just really fun. And then also I picked up a little pint-sized rice and also some delicious Greek seasonings. Need to know how to tie off your hitch? Guess what? That is also included. And they have these around the visitor center anyway, so that you can pick these up. But because it is in fact Tourism Week, they put it all in this big bag that now I can use for a grocery bag or a laundry bag or a lot of other things. Anyone who is in charge of tourism in Arkansas, if you are seeing this, you are awesome! Not only are your state parks amazing, but your tourism department is killing it when it comes to being on top of things and making them super accessible to people like me who travel for a living or people who are just recreationally traveling. So there's that. But we're off to some kind of adventure today. I'm not exactly sure what, but we're gonna find something as we go down the road. So let's go. But first, we feast. Oh my goodness, it's creamy, it's chocolatey. Thank you, Arkansas. Thank you. Thank you. I needed this little sweet treat on the road today. This is so good. This is, again, Yarnell's homemade chocolate ice cream. I feel like a kid again, eating with my little wooden plank spoon, which I think I actually have backwards, but it works just the same either way. I'm gonna finish this up and we'll hit the road. Okay guys, we have driven through Arkansas and now we have found something really fun that I have been wanting to share with you guys on the channel for a long time. Now, you can find the information for this particular location at the visitors stop, and I definitely recommend you picking up a pamphlet to find out a little bit more about Walnut Ridge. But today we're in Walnut Ridge, Arkansas, where we are going to come to the Beatles Park. And no guys, I'm not talking about Beatles like the Bugs. I'm talking about Beatles like the Beatles, like the rock stars, the Beatles. Now, Walnut Ridge might seem like a little bit of an unlikely location to see the legendary rock band. However, here they came twice, and now it is commemorated for years and years to come for you guys to come and see something kind of unique. But during the year, they also do it in a very big way by having a Beatles festival right here in Walnut Ridge. So let's see what the park looks like and also a couple of the other cool features that are around town. You're not going to want to miss out on this. It is absolutely epic, and I would totally play all the Beatles music here, but well, we all know that's copywritten. So in your mind, I want you to be thinking of your favorite Beatles tune. Now, these are a couple of the tickets from the actual shows that were played here in Walnut Ridge. One from September 18th, one from September the 20th. You'll see here admission was $2.50 on the red one and $5.50 on the green one right here. But you might have also noticed that little tiny, like, shield sign at the bottom that said the Rock and Roll Highway. Well, Highway 67 is known as that. And in fact, you can find out a lot of information about tons of historic stops along this awesome highway. Not just Beatles Park, but others. Yeah, there's a whole bunch, but let's get back to this and I'll tell you more about the big days that they were here in Walnut Ridge. In fact, whenever they arrived, a photographer captured these photos of people catching up with them and seeing them depart the plane. And you can see that they have some of their bags in tow. Here they are. This is the actual Beatles here in Walnut Ridge at the little local airport. And right here is a kind of fun story. It says the Polar Freeze restaurant looked like this in 1964. The owner, Jack Allison, who was a former Air Force pilot, knew that he heard a large airliner on its approach, and he sent somebody down to check it out. And whenever he did, he dispatched 3 teenagers who then lost their minds because they found out it was the Beatles. Now, as they were here, they signed autographs, they did their performances. It was just a big to-do at that time because they were basically the biggest thing on Earth. And now Walnut Ridge remembers that all these years later with this. This, guys, is Beatles Park. You can see this iconic Abbey Road photo that has been recreated here in this little piece of Walnut Ridge. In fact, this used to be a building that had been somewhat demolished, and they turned it into a park dedicated to the amazing day that the world changed here in Walnut Ridge. Now, I have to admit, if something this big came to my tiny town whenever I was young, I would have freaked out also, and I could definitely see that it would have the staying power to be a big deal in my hometown as well. So this is really cool to come out and see, but there's still more. There's still more. Taking a closer look at this, you can see how much detail there is in this back piece right here. They have recreated this oh so well, and it's actually etched onto here. So like this is very interesting, the texture of it itself. Very, very cool. And you can see a few little interesting pieces kind of in there as like little tidbits. And then you can also find the hidden items placed on this rendition. All of these things are somewhere within here, all these little nuggets that we were just talking about. So if we're looking here, then we can go over here and find them. It's like a little guessing game of where is it? Let's go see what we can find real quick just in passing. Here's something that says Norwegian wood. Here we go. Here's a date on here. Oh, look at this. I am the walrus. There's love. And there's so many more. So my question to you guys is, do you like to use your little Where's Waldo eyes? I do. So you should come here. You should look at this big guy right here and see how many of these you can find. And if you have been here before, let me know, did you find them all? Right next to the fun find, you can also find the true story of what happened on that fateful day that John, Paul, Ringo, and George all walked down from a plane and changed Walnut Ridge history. Here you can find the entirety of the story of what brought them here and what happened in the town as they lost their mind as a result. And they also have this, which is a little worse for the wear. It's a little faded, but it does have a QR code that still works. And you can post your photos of you experiencing the Beatles walk and so many other things here in Walnut Ridge. Now, the Beatles might have been the biggest rock stars ever to come to Walnut Ridge, but they were not the only people who had a big influence in the music industry. In fact, there was a person from this area who was also commemorated on this sign right here. Again, with that little badge, Highway 67, Rock and Roll Highway honor. Now on these, I think it's pretty cool because they're using the QR codes where you can find out more information, also hear some of the things. So this is one of those that you're definitely gonna have to check out. And it goes along with something else that we are also about to check out. Let's go look at our map. Okay, we are currently right here at Beatles Park. However, just around the corner a little bit, we have the Guitar Walk and Kavanaugh Park. So let's go see if we can find that. But before we do, over by where I parked Dimples, there's something also super cool that's Beatles related. Here on the side of a building next to the Beatles Park is a huge love sign. Isn't that kind of neat? And on the corner next to the grill, you have Abbey Road recreated with a yellow submarine. I told you it was cool, yellow submarine and all, but that's not it, Do you recognize this guy? What about this guy? And this guy? Well, we all know we recognize this guy. Isn't this the neatest thing ever? So much fun here. And they did have some more murals kind of across the road. They're fading a little bit, but still very, very cool. So check this out. Here we go. Whoop, whoop. Yeah, very fun. For this next one, could we walk? Absolutely. Would it be easier to drive so that we don't have to walk back if it starts raining? Yes, that's what we're doing. It's only like a block and a half, but still, the weather. Okay, we are now located at the Chamber of Commerce and the Amtrak, and this is where they have their infamous guitar walk. This thing is a huge guitar that I would totally show you in a drone, but it's a little windy today, so that wouldn't work out so well. I'd be whipping in the wind and you'd be thinking that we're reading in cursive. I'm just saying, it would be bad. So we're about to go check this out and let you guys see exactly what else makes Walnut Ridge so special. It is here at the Guitar Walk that you will learn the story of the Rock and Roll Highway, or Highway 67. It was officially designated this route through Northeast Arkansas in Act 497 of 2009 state legislature. This was designed to celebrate the rich but often overlooked musical legacy that Highway 67 once had. Now, the governor at the time who signed this into law actually said this was the most fun law he had ever gotten to sign because he was a huge fan of rockabilly. So it just kind of made sense, and it passed through unanimously. There was no question on acknowledging this. It was a have to. Now, something that's kind of interesting is Highway 67 has a really interesting reach. Let me show you what cities it spans. Now this is the map right here of the Rock and Roll Highway, or Highway 67. It goes all the way up to Corning and down to Bald Knob. And along the way there are stops in all of these different communities that you can check out. So I think that we might have to come back one of these days and just do the Rock and Roll Highway. If you think that's a good idea, let me know in the comments. Now as we get down to the base of the guitar, each one of these signs has a clickable piece where you can listen to some of the sounds of the people who are being acknowledged along the highway, which is fascinating. There are some big names on some of these signs. Let me show you just a few. Now we can't listen to the music, but I can certainly show them to you. Here we have Sonny Burgess, who is actually one of the rockabilly pioneers, and you can find some of the photos of him performing in various locations in addition to one of the concert flyers. Now each one of these signs has a little bit of information about the performer, what they're known for, things like that. So definitely come and check these out, but let's go check out some other names. Does this face look familiar? It's Conway Twitty. And Conway Twitty had a special bond with the Rock and Roll Highway, going all the way back to whenever he used to perform under his given name, Harold Jenkins. And you can see again some more of the awesome photos and memorabilia that they have. This is just so cool. I love seeing little glimpses of history like this. Billy Lee Riley was actually born in Pocahontas, which is right on Highway 67. He was known for fronting one of the hottest rock bands in the touring circuit. And you can see here, again, so many interesting things. Oh my goodness. And then he has a Sun Records connection also right here. That's pretty cool. Johnny Cash, he was from right here in Northeast Arkansas. In fact, you can go and tour his boyhood home. I just can't video it for you guys because they don't allow that, but he also is mentioned right here on this Walk of Fame, the Who's Who, and you can see many pictures from early on in his career. It's amazing to see these legends on these signs and learning more about their history right here with the Rock and Roll Highway. Carl Perkins, who is most well known for blue suede shoes, actually did many concerts along the Rock and Roll Highway. He included Fireman's Hall in Walnut Ridge to one of the nightclubs that he frequented, in fact. And you can see right here, there he is with Eric Clapton and Ringo Starr. So many big names. Oh my goodness. Goodness gracious, Great Balls of Fire. It's Jerry Lee Lewis. It was his signature hit. And guess what? He brought a rousing show to Northeast Arkansas on numerous occasions and even has a ticket stub from right here in the Walnut Ridge area. Does this guy look familiar? It should. It's Roy Orbison. Now, he was originally from Texas, but he made his way to Northeast Arkansas frequently. And in fact, performed right here at the Skylark, which was along the Highway 67 corridor, and it was actually located between Pocahontas and Walnut Ridge. So again, another awesome stop for big names of the who's who of the past, and still the relevant of today with songs like Pretty Woman. And you can't have the big name men without this woman right here. This is Wanda Jackson, who was a legend in rockabilly music. She performed along Highway 67 many times, and you can see again numerous photos with the who's who. In fact, here's a couple of photos with her and Elvis. She toured with him during the mid-1950s. Here's the man, the myth, and the legend himself, Elvis Presley, and he has a deep tie to Highway 67. In fact, the King of Clubs near Swifton in Jackson County was the last club that was still operating from Elvis's first tour. It made it all the way to a 2010 fire. So a long-time venue of Elvis still was open until not that long ago. Now, during the 50s is whenever he really had his time here here on the highway, and there were many occasions where people would note his performances at the Swifton School, or he was featured at Arkansas truck stops. Many of his earliest performances right here on this highway. So again, as you can see, big names in this small community. And in fact, that was part of the thriving portion of the nightlife and what kind of kept energy pumping through some of these communities for the longest of times. Some of the earliest music that still is popular today as a result of how iconic it was first sang right on this stretch of highway that goes through Arkansas. It's kind of fascinating, right? Well, now I'm gonna ask and answer the last question before we call this video a video. This big guitar behind me, what inspired them to do this? Why did they select this guitar and this placement? In fact, there is a sign right there that tells us, so let's go read. Does this man look familiar? This is John Lennon. John Lennon, the very John Lennon who is featured over at the Beatles Park. Well, did you know that the Beatles had strong ties to a lot of the rockabilly artists that came through here? In fact, that's what brought them to the Walnut Ridge area in the first place. And this guitar was symbolic not just for John Lennon, but for many of the performers that we just learned about. In fact, the very guitar that they modeled this park after was the one that created that iconic sound. It was a very unique stock at that time, and because of it, they were able to bend the notes and create these melodies that were unheard of, and that's what really revolutionized the way that we hear music even today. And as a result, they wanted to commemorate this iconic guitar along with the iconic legends who made its music sing to us all. And so I think that that's just super neat. I mean, you come to a place like Walnut Ridge with one thing in mind, but you see so many other things and you learn so much about the very music that still drives us today. Now, I personally, because I travel in a van, am always listening to music. And a lot of times while I'm on shuffle, some of these iconic songs will just kind of cross paths with me. And it always brings a smile to my face because they're familiar. I know all the words. They're the songs that I listened to that my dad listened to. And I hope that future generations continue to listen to. And that's why we came to Walnut Ridge. I bet whenever we entered Walnut Ridge today, you had no idea that you personally had a connection to a small town here in Arkansas. However, you do. Whether it's the music that you listened to or the music that you currently listen to, everything has worked together to create the sounds that we now hear. And as a result of Walnut Ridge and places along this iconic highway, you have a radio station that you enjoy. Thanks again, guys, for coming along with me to find out this little tidbit of history here in Walnut Ridge, but also seeing how it interconnects us all. Remember, we are not here for a long time, but we are here for a good time, and well, music makes that better. So places like this, they're important. Till next time, guys, bye!